Hey everyone, welcome to part 1 of two-part series where we are building a cool little memory game in Appian. In this video, we are going to focus entirely on the UI part, specifically how to create a dynamic grid layout that will automatically display 9 cards in a 3x3 layout, adjusting rows automatically based on the number of columns. Cool? The goal is simple. Tap the cards in the correct order from 1 to 9, but be careful. If you tap the wrong number, the game resets. When the game begins, 9 cards are randomly placed face down. You won't see the numbers until you tap them. But remember, every mistake resets the board. We want to display all 9 cards, show them in a layout of 3 cards per row, ensure that the layout adjusts dynamically. For example, if we were to add more cards in the future, the rows would automatically expand to accommodate them. Last but not the least, avoid any hard coding of rows or columns manually. With this in mind, let's start by defining our local variables. To define one, I will use abang local variables function. Now, I'm gonna create a local variable called local columns and setting its value to 3. This will control how many columns we want to show in each row. In our case, we want 3 columns, so this becomes the basis of how the UI is laid out. Our target is a 3x3 grid. By keeping this value dynamic, we can easily switch to a 4-column layout in the future just by changing this number without rewriting any other logic. Next comes abang columns layout, which is Appian's layout component used to organize content horizontally into columns. Now we use abang for each to dynamically create these columns. In items, we use enumerate function, enumerate of local columns plus 1. This gives us the numbers 1, 2 and 3 representing each column. And this also ensures that our layout supports 3 cards per row. Enumerate of local columns returns 0, 1, 2 and by adding plus 1 we get 1, 2 and 3. So this basically means we will run this loop 3 times, once for each column. Okay? Next, inside each iteration of our columns, we define another local variable called local column index, which simply keeps track of the column number we are on. This is important for spacing the cards correctly into rows. So we are basically creating each column one at a time and filling them with cards. So it is going to determine which cards should appear in which column. Now here we define the layout for a single column. Each column will hold multiple cards vertically stacked on top of each other. Okay, so here we use abang column layout to define the layout for a single column. And now inside the column, we loop again, but this time over each card. So in the items of my inner loop is where the actual cards come in. We want 9 cards, so we use enumerate of 9 plus 1 to generate numbers from 1 to 9. So this basically represents our 9 cards. And this is where the logic gets clever. This inner loop is gonna run through all 9 cards and we will filter and assign each card to the right column based on its index. Alright, now to create a card, we use abang card layout. This component represents a visual card on the interface. For now, it has no contents. We will update that in the next part. Now, the real magic is going to happen in show when. The condition in the show when is going to determine which card belongs in which column. So I'm gonna make use of mod function, which gives you the remainder when you divide the first number by the second. Mod of fbbang index, which refers to the current card index in the loop 1 through 9. So basically it is referring to the index of the inner loop, which is currently 1, okay? Minus local column index, which refers to the current column number 1 through 3. And it refers to the current index of the outer loop, which is currently 1 as we are on column 1. Alright, now we subtract the column index from the card index and then take a modulo 3. If the result is 0, the card is shown in this column, otherwise it's skipped. Let's understand this logic with an example. You have card 1 and you need to determine the placement of this card. Inside each column, this loop runs from 1 to 9. So we are technically creating 9 card layouts per column, but not all of them will be shown. So now the question arises, why loop through all 9 cards? That's because we want to filter which cards belong to this column. We use the show when condition to show only the ones that match the column's turn. Let's say we are on column 1, which means local column index is equal to 1. The loop goes through cards 1 to 9, but only cards where FB bank index, which is the current card index minus 1, modulo 3 is equal to 0 will be visible in this column. Let's say we are entering card 1 in column 1. 1 minus 1 is equal to 0. And if you divide 0 by 3, it gives you the remainder as 0. So the card gets shown here. Now comes card 2 in column 1. 2 minus 1 is equal to 1. And if you divide 1 by 3, it leaves the remainder as 1, which is not equal to 0. So we are not going to show card 2 in column 1. It belongs to some other column. So as a result, cards 1, 4 and 7 will appear in column 1, cards 2, 5 and 8 in column 2 and so on. We loop through everything but show only what belongs in each columns. And setting the margin below to standard, which adds spacing between rows. I am setting the height as short plus, which gives a decent size to each card. And that's it for the UI setup. This layout is completely dynamic. If you increase the number of cards from 9 to say 12, it will automatically create 4 rows of 3 cards. Now that we understand how the cards are being placed into columns, let me show you something cool. This line here, enumerate of 9 plus 1, is what creates the 9 cards, right? It is basically saying give me numbers from 1 to 9. Let's change that to enumerate of 10 plus 1. So now we are creating 10 cards instead of 9. Now watch what happens when the interface is refreshed. There we go. The layout adjusts automatically. And that's the beauty of this setup. It's fully dynamic. You can add or remove cards and the UI will adapt without writing extra layout code. So anytime you change the total number of cards, the layout reorganizes itself just like that. In part 2, we will add interactivity, flipping cards, checking the sequence, resetting the game if a wrong card is clicked. Alright folks, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to show some love, like, share, maybe even drop a comment. And I will be back with part 2 real soon, where we will dive into the game logic and make this interactive. Cheers, bye-bye.